Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
As we say, welcome into the PXG Custom Studios. Nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period. It is Masters Week, and we are all very, very pumped indeed. The Masters, which will surround all of us for the coming days, rightfully so, will be celebrating its 89th edition. It was first played in March of 1934 at the Augusta National Invitational, then called. Horton Smith won the inaugural event by one stroke over Craig Wood. Last year, Scotty Scheffler, of course, won the Masters for the second time in 3 years. He shot a 68 in the final round to beat Ludwig Oberg by 4 strokes. He joined Tiger Woods in 2001 as the second golfer to win the Players and the Masters in the same year. The win was one of 9 worldwide victories for Scheffler in 2024 with 7 on the PGA Tour. He also earned the gold medal in the Paris Olympics and won the Hero World Challenge. The Masters is not a PGA Tour event or a PGA Tour run tournament. It is a non-PGA Tour co-sanctioned event, as it is for the DP World Tour as well. This year, Scheffler is looking to join Jack Nicklaus as the only players to win the Masters 3 times in a 4-year span. Nicklaus did it in 1963, 1965, and 1966 amongst his 6 victories at the tournament. Here's the winners over the last 5 years. 2020, it was Dustin Johnson by 5 strokes over Sungjae Im and Cameron Smith. You remember that was the one that was in the late fall, early winter because of COVID. 2021, Hideki Matsuyama over Will Zalatoris by a stroke. 22, Scotty Scheffler by 3 strokes over Rory McIlroy. In 23, it was John Rahm by 4 strokes over Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson. And then in 24, it was Scotty Scheffler, as just mentioned, by 4 over Ludwig. So we are ready to roll, folks. Welcome in. Always a pleasure to have your company, very much so this week with everything that is going on. I hope you guys are getting your fill of everything that will be Masters Tournament. We have a special show for you coming up, as hopefully you would expect from us at this time of year. And we have a guest that will be one of the voices that will be bringing you the Masters coverage throughout the entirety of the week. And I'm very much looking forward to getting some insights there as well. But first of all, trying to get some insights from champions. This past weekend was the Valero Texas Open. There was the big storyline coming in about I believe it was 119 players in the field, if my memory is correct. 119 players needed to win the Valero Texas Open in order to gain entry into the Masters. And the player that won the event while he had come off the boil of late was already exempt into the Masters. Brian Harman closed it. Let's find out what the winner, who shot 9 under par, had to say following his victory.
Yeah, I had to wait a long time in between my second and third. Didn't have to wait quite as long this time, but it's been playing some really good golf. My scores haven't showed it, but I've been feeling like it was right there. So to have it pop this week and be in good form, for some big stuff coming up is really awesome. Having a little bit of experience and knowing that score was kind of a relative thing today. It was more, kind of a game of attrition. The conditions just wouldn't allow for a super low score. So just I didn't have my best stuff today, but good enough to make a few putts, and a couple birdies on the back 9 helped a lot. Yeah, it's really hard, especially the first 2 days I was playing such good golf, and it was just aiming at everything and making a ton of putts and having a lot of fun, and then all of a sudden the weather flips, and not only does the weather flips, but the wind's coming from a totally different direction. I was actually looking at the scoreboard on 18. My day 1 drive, 330, day 2 drive, 320, day 3, 255, day 4, 248 or whatever it was. So it's a completely different golf course. But having a little bit of experience around here, like I talked about, I've seen this place play really hard, and just knowing that there wasn't going to be a low score out there today. Well, I've had to learn that lesson hard way with a bunch of failures, across my career where, you look back at a tournament and you're like, gosh, if I could have just kept my cool for a little bit longer, if I could have just hung in there for a little bit longer, man, maybe I could have made a run. And so I just tried really hard today to not let my emotions get out in front. And as much as I wanted to think about winning and holding the trophy and calling my wife and telling her how happy I was, you don't get to do that until the job's done. And it's just left foot, right foot, finish the job, and then you get to have fun. Yeah, just knowing that there's some good golf left in there. I'm 38. I'm not 25 anymore. I know that I'm getting, a little grayer. So, you start looking at, like, man, how many more chances do I have at Augusta? How many more chances do I have at a U.S. Open and all the things that you want to do? But just knowing that I can come out here in tough conditions and play well as an older veteran on tour, like, makes me feel good about next week. I think Augusta has a way of snapping you right back into reality. That course can be such a challenge. And I actually think this is a really great warm-up, not to diminish this golf tournament at all. This is a very incredible golf tournament, hard one to win. But this is a great warm-up for Augusta. Augusta gets tricky wins. Augusta has pins that are, perched up on top of spots just like they are around here. So for me, I took a couple years off of this golf tournament, and then when I came back and it's beautifully overseeded, it's like, man, this is like about as good as prep as you can get for Augusta.
That's pretty significant what he just said there at the end, that this is as good a practice as you can get for Augusta. And we'll see how that manifests itself in the coming days. On the LPGA, it was the T-Mobile match play, which I thought was a pretty entertaining endeavor across the board. Madeline Sagstrom was the winner, and Madeline, she put out some cute videos on social media about how excited she was to win. But let's hear what she had to say when she addressed the press at large.
It feels amazing. It's you kind of forget what it feels like, and today it's like you really can't relax or feel like you're out of it at any point. So even when, I'm standing there when Lauren's putting her last putt, and just like, I need to prepare for her to make this. I'm expecting her to make it, and let's go for playoff. Like, that's kind of the mindset you need to have in match play. So it's probably going to feel very rewarding eventually. Right now, I'm just very tired. But it's been such hard work for such a long time, and it just proves it's so hard to win out here. Everyone's so good, and it's just incredible. Whoever's in the final has obviously played really good golf all week, so I was prepared, like, this is going to go to the last few holes. Like, that was my mindset all day. Like, no matter what happens, like, this is, like, don't even though I was up a lot in the early, I was like, this is, like, she's playing well, I've been playing well, so she can always bring this back. So I think that was my mindset, like, take this, like, it's going to take a while to, whoever's going to win this we're both going to bring it to the end. So it was hard. Like, I got really tired, and it kind of mentally hit me. I decided I needed an emergency banana in the bunker on 10. I was like, I need something to start going now. And then I started just chugging water because I was like, I need something to spike me back here. And I got it going. I've never been one to give up. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very critical about my game. But when it comes down to it, like, I always think that even if I'm behind or something, that I can do it. So, I grinded the whole way out. Oh, it means a lot. My dad, I think, texted my mom earlier or something. He wrote something. It's going to be a long night. So, because he's in Sweden and been watching this in Sweden. So it's, having the support means a lot. It's like, a win is a win, but having a win to share it with people is the best feeling in the world. So my husband called and cried, and then I cried more. And it's just the best feeling to share it with the people you love.
Well, congratulations to our winners this week that we have time to get to. We do have that special guest coming up in just a little bit. I'm very excited about that. I did get a message asking me what time the network coverage will be for the Masters this weekend. On Saturday at noon, it starts on Paramount Plus. Saturday at noon on Paramount Plus, and then at 2 p.m. on CBS. And then Sunday, it looks like the schedule is the exact same, noon. And then from there at 2 p.m., it goes to CBS. And, of course, the Masters, I would say, I'm curious if you guys agree with me on this, this week using their streaming coverage, pretty much it's probably the best in all the majors. And I've always wondered with the Masters, is the things that they do at the Masters actually better than any other major, for example? Or is it just because of our heightened excitement about Augusta National, year in and year out? And I think with good reason, with that heightened excitement. All right, I want you guys to play your very, very best golf. And to do that, you need to make sure that every part of your equipment is perfect for you. Newton golf shafts fit a wide range of players from tour level to the beginning golfer at all swing speeds. It's really hard to overpower a Newton shaft, and that's because they're made with a unique elongated bend profile that will allow you to feel the shaft throughout your swing. It is distinctively different than the way that shafts have traditionally been made, where you're going to have a flex point. This is an elongated, as I mentioned, load, so you can feel it properly, you can make contact properly, perhaps like you never have before, and play your very, very best golf. Log on to newtongolfco.com for more information. newtongolfco.com for more. When we come back, a special guest, Jordan, is one of the voices bringing you the Masters 2025.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Innovation has been at the heart of every SuperStroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing SuperStroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Think PXG is too expensive? Think again. Buy any 7 clubs and save 15%. Buy 10 clubs or more, get 18% off, or maximize your savings with 20% off when you buy at least 14 clubs. Exceptional PXG quality and performance customized just for you with the best personal support in the business. Visit PXG.com or a PXG location near you to learn more. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
You guys know I've been saying it forever. I know how proud you would be to slip Ben Hogan golf equipment into your golf bag to carry the brand of the great man. Would give you rightfully great pride to do so. Ben Hogan at the Masters, he won it in 1951. He won it 53, but he lost it in 54 in an 18-hole playoff against Sam Snead. And that was, I remember Sam Snead's son telling me that win over Hogan in 1954 was one of his proudest moments when you think about all that Sam Snead accomplished. And I'm sure it was something that stayed with Mr. Hogan for all of his days as well. Ben Hogan won 64 times on the PGA Tour. He was a 9-time major champion. It's a mark that he shares with Gary Player. When you get a chance, log on to benhogangolf.com. Check out the products that they have on offer because they are exceptional. They are unique. They carry with them that same dignity and class that you expect from the name that is etched right in the metal, that iconic signature of Ben Hogan. So I'm super excited, as we do each year, to visit with a friend that is prominent in the worldwide coverage of the Masters, and rightfully so, Michael Eaves from ESPN. He's a host. You've seen him, obviously, on SportsCenter for years. And as I mentioned, he's going to be a huge part of ESPN's coverage of the Masters. He'll be doing post-round player interviews during the live coverage during the first and second rounds, hosting SportsCenter updates and reports from the Masters all week, and he'll be hosting preview shows coming in as well. He's a multiple-time Emmy Award winner. Michael, how are you, my friend? How excited are you at the start of this week each year?
It's always my favorite week of the year because it's my favorite event, and getting to come here every year is just even more special, Matt, and I feel like brand new every time I come. I can't say that about the other events I go to, but every time I come here, it almost feels like the first time.
You know, I knew you would do this because you're you. You kind of set it up perfectly for this mindset that I had sitting here this morning, which is everything about it, from the coverage that you guys do to the way that we run through the week, the streaming coverage and the options, all of it. There's something about the Masters that feels like it does everything better than everybody else. And what I'm trying to figure out is, do you think that's real? Or is that just because we've been starved for a major from the end of the Open last year at Royal Troon? We have to wait through the cold, hard, icy winter, and now we get to April, and this kind of feels like this is the start of the warm season, and the flowers and the azaleas have bloomed again. Am I on the mark there with something? Is this more emotional, or is it also just stone cold pragmatic?
Well, I mean, there is the element of absence makes the heart grow fonder. I mean, that is absolutely true. But the thing about Augusta National, I think they are the perfect blend of excellence and tradition, right? Everything they try to do is top tier. Everything they try to do is top tier, okay? So when that is always your goal, even if you don't reach perfection, you're going to reach excellence. And that is the case with Augusta National in terms of how the golf course looks, the way things are run. That is their goal in every regard there. And so that just adds to the overall quality of the event and the way it embraces tradition like no other sport really, or excuse me, no other event in sports embraces tradition quite the way Augusta National does. And you just feel all of it, whether you are a patron on the grounds, a player on the course, or in my case, a broadcaster on the coverage. Like, you feel all of that. And it is one of one, as Scott Van Pelt likes to call it. I've covered other majors. I've covered every other major sporting event in America, and I've been to 2 Olympics. There's only one Masters, and it is just as simple as that. There's only one Masters.
If we cast our minds back a year ago, Michael, the storyline primary coming into the Masters, and rightfully so, was Scottie Scheffler. The tear that Scottie Scheffler was on throughout 2024 was something of historic proportions. What he did at Augusta National, too, something that will be etched in the history books, especially because he did it a couple of times within a short span. How much is it different in 2025? How much is that still a primary storyline? Is it number one? And what are the storylines as you're coming in that you have yourself ready to discuss accordingly?
Well, as the world number one player, Scottie Scheffler is always going to be a topic of conversation. There's no question about that. I mean, it's completely different than last year, though, Matt, because he hasn't won yet, right? He played so well coming in here last year, then it was like, oh, yeah, Scottie's going to win again, because why wouldn't he? Right now, you're wondering, when is he going to win again? Because it's been a while, considering how well he's played the last couple of years. But I think the way Scottie was playing coming in here last year kind of resembles the way Rory McIlroy's coming in this year. This may be the best he's played coming into Augusta in his career, at least in a few months leading up to the actual event. 11th time now he's going to try to close out this career Grand Slam. He's got 2 wins here in 2025. He's got some top 10s as well in other events. I don't know how anyone, based on what we've seen recently, would pick anyone above him. Now, you want to pick Scotty because he's Scotty and he's number 1 player in the world, fine. But number 2 is Rory, and no one's played better than Rory McIlroy coming here to a Masters week.
Yeah, it sounds like you and I are of the same mindset relative to Rory McIlroy, because when you look at his baseline stats from 2024 to this point were pretty darn impressive in Rory McIlroy. They're even better in 2025. And when you add in the fact that he's never come in with multiple wins as he enters Augusta National, yeah, I agree with you. The big question with Rory, and I had this debate the other night on Golf Central with one of our analysts, their theory was that Rory's going to have this scar tissue. And I said, would you, based upon what we saw at Pinehurst last year and the closing stretches and have it, to which my question is, okay, what if it's a Rory that's not leading, but what if he is the hunter instead of the hunted? What if he's 1 shot behind and has more of an aggressive mindset and instead of trying to nurse a lead? Would that negate, if there is in fact, and I think us as media guys, right, Michael, we tend to apply these type things and saying, oh, he has scar tissue. So I'm just curious your observation on the same.
Well, I mean, it's easy argument to make that he has scar tissue. Why would he not? The question is, how tough is that scar tissue here in 2025 than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago? That's the real question. And what has happened to Rory McIlroy and his game since then that would not be as big of an issue? That would be my contention if I'm arguing against it. He's gone through too many other things in his life on the golf course and personally to dwell on something that happened when he was in his early 20s, quite honestly. I think his game is better now than it has been in years past to come here and try to complete his career Grand Slam. So I don't really think it would matter that much, Matt, if he's behind or leading if he got to the case coming into the final round on Sunday. I just think he's a different guy. I think he can win from either position because we've seen him do that already this year from either position. He is just better now than he was 5-6 years ago in so many aspects of his game that he's my pick. Now, anybody can win here. Well, not anybody. There's a lot of people that can win here. So if he doesn't win, I wouldn't say it would be, that big of a letdown. But if he's going to win, this is the best opportunity in the last several years for him to do so.
Do you have, I'm sure you get asked these questions when you're going through airports and all the rest. Do you have a kind of a pick already, Michael, with someone that you would say, kind of my dark horse for 2025 at the Masters? And I hate using that phrase. I realize, you're in the Masters field. How much of a dark horse are you really? But who would you put in that category, if you will?
Well, I guess it depends on how far down you want to go and how dark is that horse going to be. I think Tony Finau is going to win a Masters. Everything about his game suggests he should win here, but he hasn't played well here in 2025. So odds are he would not be a top selection right now. And you have to consider some of the things that have happened trend-wise, Matt, in the last few years, is that you've got to hit greens here, right? So 13 of the last 15 champions have ranked in the top 7 in greens and regulation during the week, right? So how good is your ball striking coming into the week? 20 of the last 30 champions have had a top 10 finish at Augusta before winning it for the first time. So you have to have history here of playing well, and you got to get off to a good start. Each of the last 19 winners have started with a round under par. So what's your scoring average on tour right now? So if you put all those together, there's only so far down the list you could go for a real dark horse. Tony Finau would definitely be one of my guys in that regard, but I'd also give a shot to Victor Hovland, who's played here well. In the past. At least he's been, he's had the lead after 18 or 36 holes in the past. Colin Morikawa has had no miscuts here in 5 appearances, inside the top 10 each of the last 3. He's a guy that could play here. It's just a matter of based on their history, how far down you want to go and how dark of that horse you want to put in that race.
Yeah, Tony I'm not as much on board with because I think that his putter tends to reveal some demons every now and then. But if he's on song that week, if he's even average with his putting, which is hard to say at Augusta National, then I agree with you that he could contend.
Exactly. Like things have to fall into place for him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. My guy that I think everybody's ignoring is Sepp Straka. You know, you look at Sepp, and it's like he's already won this year. His odds are what, 60-1 coming in? And I think Sepp Straka, with the way that he's playing and the form that he has right now, is one to keep an eye on. Anyway, I do want to ask you about ESPN and what you guys are doing. Hey, before I get into that for this week, what have you heard around the hallways at work in terms of the TGL and how that worked out for ESPN? Did it meet everybody's expectations or exceed?
Yeah, and here's the deal. There's different expectations. So you have the audience expectation in terms of fans. You have our own internal expectations based on programming, right? So as far as the fans are concerned, the golf fans, at least when I was watching it myself and then kind of listening to the chatter on social media, it was a big hit, especially the way it ended. I mean, that last night, the championship was phenomenal. The ratings were really good in that regard, so you tell you there was interest. And from our standpoint, this takes you inside the business, and I know a lot of people at home that really care about this. You know, for us, it is about programming. So a Monday or Tuesday night leading up to the NCAA tournament, those nights, you know, coming off of the Super Bowl and NFL, like sometimes those can be pretty dead nights for us in terms of our programming. But TGL filled a nice void there, and from a programming standpoint, to give us content, so to speak, but also to pull in a pretty good number, right, for those nights compared to what we may have had in other college basketball games through the year. So in year one, I'd say it was a success. I know there's some changes that are going to come for year two in terms of how things are done with it. They're going to change some of the rules itself. And also from our coverage standpoint, that, you know, obviously we're always trying to look to improve. But the job that was done, I think, from our standpoint this year with Matt and Marty and Scott and everyone was involved, I thought it was top tier. And hope the fans liked it at home as well.
Yeah, when you talked about the fan reaction and also your internal reaction, the two sides of that sheet, did you guys get demographic information? Do you know if it was successful in one of the objectives of bringing in a younger audience? It would seem to me that it was, but did you hear anything on that perhaps?
I personally have not heard any of those specifics. Just gauging on social media interest, you would think it would be there.
Yeah, I would think so. I thought it was a really cool way to display the players. I've always had the same philosophy, Michael, is that if it matters to them, then to me as a fan and a journalist, it matters to me. I felt the same way about the FedEx Cup, you know, the playoffs where some people would roll their eyes initially. I'm like, yeah, but if you've been in the parking lot when a guy slams that trunk, he's not happy about going home. It means a lot to them. And I thought with TGL, we got to see a side of the players that we don't normally see, having fun and laughing. It felt more like you and I going out and playing around at golf. You know what I mean? It just yuck it up. So it's cool. ESPN this week, 2025 Masters. What have you guys got in store for us?
Well, I'll say this. Augusta National over the last few years has been very gracious with giving us a little more access every time we ask for it, as well as CBS, and this year is no exception. You know, we have our traditional coverage. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of coverage on SportsCenter throughout the week, as you normally do. We have our two-hour preview shows, or practice round shows, on Tuesday and Wednesday. You'll see those on ESPN Plus. We have the par 3 contest, obviously, SportsCenter at the Masters on Wednesday after the par 3, which I will host, and then our coverage on exclusive coverage Thursday and Friday. And then into the weekend, everything's on ESPN Plus, from feature groups to feature holes, all that stuff you'll see on ESPN Plus. And even for those, you know, casual fans and people who are maybe just getting into the golf world and aren't, you know, necessarily day-to-day players, but love the lifestyle aspect of it, we've got Welcome to the Masters over the next several days, hosted by Laura Rutledge, leading into our coverage all through the week as well. So we have a little bit of everything, I believe, in terms of giving the diehards the access that they want, but also people on the outside or just on the fringe, like my wife, who love the lifestyle aspects of golf. We have something for them as well. And I'm looking forward to it as always. And I know we are, because it's a huge event for us and everyone who comes down there, from Matt Berry to Marty Smith to Laura Rutledge to Scott Van Pelt, Jeff Darlington. We all look forward to it. And this is our favorite week to work, right? Like, we get to do some cool stuff in our lives. And sometimes it is a job because you have to go somewhere you don't want to go. Everyone wants to come here. So this work week is long, but it's an easy one for those who love it.
Michael, you are the best. I love catching up with you. I love getting your insights. I'm super excited about hearing you this week. I tell you this every time I see you, that to do an interview that lasts somewhere between 30 seconds up to, say, 90 seconds on average, and to ask insightful questions that provide us sitting at home, watching and listening, insights that we cannot otherwise or would not otherwise have gotten is an incredible talent and skill, and you are excellent at it. So I can't wait to see you doing your stuff over the next few days.
Matt, you're far too kind. All of my interviews are good only because I get good answers. So I appreciate you saying that.
There's a step involved there. My friend, good luck this week. Have fun this week. We appreciate your time.
All right, take care.
All right, Michael Eaves joining us from ESPN. When we come back, I want to go down a road that Michael kind of started us on, where you take a look at particular players and you start to build a reason, right? And I know reasons vary. That's why I'm keeping it vague and broad in this toss. However, we're going to put together some numbers as we do before these big events and see if your ideas of who might be the player this week kind of match up to information that we have coming in. We will explain more of the Fairways Life Show after this.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
At PXG, we believe you get more out of your golf clubs when you're custom fitted. This ensures that every PXG club in your bag is completely dialed in to deliver maximum performance for your swing. Golfers of every skill level should go through this process, and PXG's judgment-free fittings will make sure you're completely comfortable and satisfied. Book your fitting and see what we can do for your game. PXG, you've never played like this before, period.
Innovation has been at the heart of every SuperStroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing SuperStroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Welcome back to the PXG Custom Studios, the Fairways of Life show. You've never played like this before. So we want to get into some of the graphics. And some of those pure numbers that I want to start with was, and you saw when Andrew put the odds up there. These are the odds, obviously, coming into the week for the Masters. And I like to get your reaction to these things, right? Scotty Scheffler at 5-1, Rory at 7-1. No real huge surprise there. Ludwig Oberg at 16-1. Already won this year. Kind of been a mixed bag performance from him otherwise. Colin Morikawa with his ball striking is at 14-1. Bryson at 16-1. John Rahm at 18-1. I think there's some people sleeping on John Rahm a little bit, is my sense. Right, there's Xander at 25-1. If we go back a year ago, he hadn't jumped into the phone booth and jumped out as Super Xander yet. Brooks is 30-1. You heard me just mention earlier in the show that it wasn't that long ago that he finished second alongside of Phil Mickelson. Victor Hovland just won at the Valspar, 35-1. But then as you go down this list, that's where I was mentioning to Michael Eaves, Sepp Straka, 60-1. Corey Connors is 60-1, but Corey is one that the putter has to be working. Tony Finau, that he mentioned, is 70-1, and as I mentioned to him, that's one where Tony has to have the putter working. DJ, I mean, he's been so quiet, 80-1. Patrick Reed at 80-1, I think is an odds if you were doing this at the beginning of the week, kind of looking at it going, that might be worth taking a look too. You know what I'm saying? So when Dom and I were talking about putting together comparative data at the start of a major, right? And I realize as you know, everything starts to unfold, you either look like a genius or a fool with some of these things. But I think it's still interesting nonetheless. So Dom, let me ask you this in terms of, because I'm not trying to present this in such a way, folks, to say that I don't have the info in front of me. It's right in front of me. But the reason I wanted to ask Dom about this was, what was your thinking in terms of, and he did a number of different players. I will tell you, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Ludwig Oberg, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele. And as you're hearing that, you can kind of see, you know, why I was talking about the names that I was talking about. But what I'm curious about, Dom, so that you can give us a baseline in discussing this, is what information did you pull up? What was the source of your information, which is so much more important nowadays than ever? And then it provided us a baseline for comparison. Where do we go?
So, Andrew, what I'd like you to, hello, happy Masters Week.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm out of control excited.
Good.
I have all kinds of plans. All right, so, Andrew, put up, let's just start with Scotty Scheffler. We're going to use this as a template as I sort of explain my thinking here. So I did a number of players, and we'll do more players tomorrow. But what I have here, Matt, if you look at the list here, is, and you can see stats provided by DataGolf. DataGolf.com is what I use, and I'll explain why in a second here. Has this person ever won a major championship? Has this person ever collected a number of important victories? There you see Masters champion, PGA Tour wins, etc. How many times has this person played in the Masters? How many starts have they had, and how have they done in those starts? And then I have two statistics that, again, are coming from DataGolf, which I'll explain in a second. One is their true strokes gained number for this year, and you can see Scotty Scheffler is plus 2.55. That is per round against the field average, which is third on tour. And then I also have their true strokes gained putting number.
Now, is that third on tour or third in the world?
Third on the PGA Tour.
Got it.
They have separate stats for the Live Tour and for the other
Got
tours. They're separated out. So this is for the tour that he's playing on. The true strokes gained putting number that you see is 35th. And then I also did the same thing with just the Masters, the last four Masters for each of these profile players that I've done. You get the strokes gained number in the Masters, their average strokes gained per round over the last four Masters, and then their same thing with the true strokes gained putting at their last four Masters, their average.
That's
now, the
fascinating.
last two
In the
stats,
putting, Dom, just to mention it, he's negative
Correct.
in that one.
A lot of them are.
And if you do the last 4 Masters, he won half of them, and he's negative in the putting category. Go ahead. Sorry.
Correct. And the last 2 categories are absolutely fascinating, and I love it. The Data Golf folks have something called a trend table. And what that trend table looks at is the last 20 professional rounds taking place for said player. And it has their true strokes gained number. What is that player's traditional average strokes gained over a certain period of time, and then it has versus their baseline. In other words, it's telling you how much better is this player playing than you would expect them to play in the last 20 rounds of professional golf. It's literally, like we always talk about a player being hot, this is a true statistic of who is hot and by how much and in the last 20 rounds.
Can I ask you a question with that? You're measuring that player's last 20 rounds, but
I'm not measuring them. Data Golf is.
But the standard against which it's being measured, which is
that player standard, not the
and
tour
how
standard.
many events is that player's standard established by?
I think it's the last year that they had.
So it's
like the last year. So it's not the career.
But if it's a year right up until where we are, it's going to be roughly 32 events, 32, 33 events.
Yeah, and this is just the last 20 rounds, not the last 20 events.
Oh, got it. That's an important distinction.
This is their last 20 rounds of professional golf. So it's literally who is hot right now, like absolutely on fire.
Okay, so what this is telling us is that Scottie Scheffler is he's off.
No, he's off a lot. He's playing a half a stroke worse per
round again.
Than you would expect him to do. Than you would expect him to do right now this second. Which honestly, Matt, you talked a little bit about it with Michael, and you and I have talked about it on this show. It definitely has felt, right? Now we have a stat to prove it, but it's kind of felt like Scotty's not quite there.
Yes,
Something's
except that I
off.
covered every minute of the Valero Texas Open with the leaders because I was doing the international broadcast. And I literally said it on the air. I feel like we were reintroduced to a Scottie Scheffler we haven't seen in a while.
Well, maybe he's getting Masters ready.
I don't know. Okay,
There's
what was the last?
There's one last final stat.
What's the
Go ahead,
one
put it
last
back
final
in there.
stat for us?
The last final stat is what they call, again, incredible stuff with Data Golf, their pressure tool. And what that is you can determine it based on what time period you want. So the time period I entered into their model is just this year for all the players that you're going to see. So what this tool tells you is how does a player perform entering the final round of a golf tournament compared to the average in that particular round of that particular tournament. And you can see that even though Scottie Scheffler's performing a little bit below his baseline on that trend table, he's not quote-unquote hot right now. Under pressure this year, entering the final round, he is still 2 shots better than the average. Still.
Right. So what I'm looking at this thing, the first 3 line items are qualifiers, and it is of distinction because Scottie Scheffler's only played in 5 Masters, and he's won 2 of them. So he's won 40% of the time that he's teed it up at Augusta National. That is mind-blowing. Okay, then we look at 2025 true strokes gained. He's 3rd. 2025 true strokes gained putting. He's 35th. If he could hang around 35th, Scottie Scheffler could win 10 times. That's what I always tell you about great ball strikers. Same thing with like Colin Morikawa, who we can look at in a little bit here. Right? So true strokes gained last 4 Masters, 3.62. Again, that one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because he's won 2 of the last 4, so he's obviously been playing well. I do find it fascinating that his putting, his true strokes gained putting was in the negative. Not much, but in the negative. Then when we look at his last 20 rounds, that he's just over half a stroke off from the average is fascinating to me. But then again, on the other side of it, I look at it and go, you're also measuring Scotty Scheffler. So him being half a stroke off his normal baseline still has him third in true strokes gained at 2.55 positive. The pressure tool I love. I've been begging for years to come up with a strokes gain putting pressure stat. That was the argument that I've always had on the air with other analysts who try to tell me that Jordan Spieth is one of the greatest putters of all time. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not even he's not even average. But he's a great clutch putter, which I think is a different stat. And maybe that's getting closer. So fascinating stuff from Scotty Scheffler. The only caveat I put on it is the one that I just told you was what Scotty did at the Houston Open to try to run down Minwoo Lee and then ultimately lose to him by one stroke was so impressive, and it made me feel like we were seeing a Scotty we haven't seen in a while, and what perfect timing, right? All right, let's take a look at Rory McIlroy with this. Dom, to what you built, he's a 4-time major champion, but he hasn't won a major in 11 years. He's won 28 times on the PGA Tour, 18 times on the European Tour. And just for clarity, qualification, there is some overlap there. He's played in the Masters 16 times, top 25 or better, 12 of those 16. He has 4 top 5s, and he was runner-up in 2022. Remember that magical finish on 18 from the bunker. All right, 2025 true strokes gained total, positive 2.92. And the reason why I didn't just go in order there, because you could see I like to pick and choose at times to tell a particular story, but this one I did because he's first in that category. First. Again, in order. True strokes gained putting, he is 10th. We are talking about Rory McIlroy. Remarkable numbers. Last 4 strokes gain, true strokes gain total at the Masters, positive. It's 3/4 of a stroke positive. That is very, very good. But again, I'm not sure. The same way with Scotty's, where I'm not putting a lot of stock into what they've done over the last 4, although Scotty's is incredible. I'm also not putting a huge amount of stock into what Rory did over the last 4, because ultimately it's about what he does this year. His trend table, as you can see from Rory, probably not a surprise. His true strokes gained putting is up almost 3/4 of a stroke. His trend table is up almost 60% of a stroke. Look at his pressure tool, true strokes gained.
So much, Matt. That's a lot.
Look at it, guys.
That means he's 2 or 3 shots better per tournament right now than Rory would normally be. Think about how good Rory is and how competitive and consistent he's been in the last 10 years. For him to be playing 2.5 shots better per tournament than you would normally expect him to be. That's freaking lot.
It's even more than that, what you're just saying. But it's remarkable, and that's the reason why I'm coming in, and I think Michael Eaves was saying the same thing in the last segment, that he's also high on what Rory's going to do. Okay, I promised you Colin Morikawa. Let's take a look at it. He's a multiple-time major champion, the 2020 PGA, the 21 Open at Royal St. George's. 6 wins on the PGA Tour. He has 4 European Tour wins, but again, you're going to have some overlap there. 5 Masters starts. He has 3 top 10s, and he was tied for 3rd last year in 5 starts. 2025 true strokes gained total, positive 2.91. He's 2nd. 2025 true strokes gained putting, he's positive 0.33 at 46. And you look at that and you go, that's okay. But again, you're talking about Colin Morikawa, and it's really interesting because I think that the modern game is putt for show and drive for dough. And so these top 3 guys that we're talking about, who are great ball strikers and with skills amongst them in the ball striking area that are particular to each of them. For him to be 46th in putting is very good because he's one of these players, just like the two already mentioned, but even more so with Colin in the comparison to these three, is that if Colin is on with his putting on a given week, he wins. And on with his putting is not far off his season average at Augusta National, I'm saying. So if his putting, he's 46 on average, but let's say he has a week where he's closer between 20 and 30, he wins. In my view, he wins. That's how good his ball striking is. All right, let's go to his trend table. 0.69. So, again, not quite 3/4 of a stroke like we were just talking about with Rory, but pretty darn close. And his pressure tool is very impressive, too, at plus 2.4. All right, and then I want to jump to John Rahm before we go too far. Andrew, could you pull me up John Rahm in this? He won the 21 U.S. Open. He won the 23 Masters. He won 11 times on the PGA Tour. 10 times on the European Tour. 2 Live Golf Tour wins. 8 Masters starts. And in 8 Masters starts, he has 5 top 10s and 3 top 5s, including a victory. I mean, I read these stats of these guys. It's good to do it because, for amongst other things, it blows you away. 2025 total true strokes gained total plus 2.12, first on Live. 2025 true strokes gained putting plus 0.59, that's 8th on Live. Trend table, negative 0.35 in the last 20 rounds. Pressure tool, positive 1.7. Xander, just because I'm running out of time here, I want to do this one quickly. Xander Schauffele, 2-time major champion, of course, last year in his glory. 9 PGA Tour wins, 4 European Tour wins. Again, like I've been saying in all of them, you have overlap there. 7 Masters starts, 4 top 10s, a third, and a runner-up. Are you kidding me? 2025 true strokes gained total, he is positive. Now, I know a lot of you be like, hey, it really seems like he's not been on the boil. I get it. And that's why it's still positive, even though it's ranked 94th. 2025 true strokes gained putting. There's the problem. Do you see it? For those of you there on the radio side, 160th ranked. And then you look at his trend table, true strokes gained versus baseline, negative 1.98 in the last 20 rounds. 2 strokes off per. That's incredible. So anyway, it's really interesting. We have some more interesting information such as this that we want to go over. I am curious, though, Dom, when you started to put these numbers together, did it validate what you already thought you knew, or was it a revelation to you with some of these numbers and what they actually say, given the fact that it's this data golf and you're using a different source?
I really love the trend table because it really shows you statistically, hard proof, hard evidence, who is playing the absolute best right now as we speak. Really the best. And it also gives you a window into, like Scotty and Xander are good examples of players that you feel like they're struggling. Something's not right, but you can't put your finger on it. And then you look at the trend table and you can see it. Like you just showed, Xander's almost 2 shots off what you would expect him to be per round. Something's not right there. And I do still feel like there's too much stock put in past Masters performances.
Yeah, that's why I would like
maybe
with
I'm insane
that.
For saying that.
I know there's value in knowing the golf course, and I get all that. But I didn't spend a great deal of time on what they did the last 4 Masters compared to this year. I think form I'm trusting that they have the experience. They're professionals. They're getting to know, even though there's some changes with some greens, blah, blah, blah. But they know how to play the golf course. It's their current form that's going to help them play the golf course.
So, Andrew, bring that in. I like that. This is just a quick runaround to show you, Matt, because I love some of those stats. Some notes. According to Data Golf, if you look at Daniel Berger, Joe Highsmith, and Michael Kim, look where they are right now in comparison to where they normally are on the trend table. Daniel Berger is second on tour. He's playing a shot and a half better right now than he normally plays per round heading into the Masters. Look at Michael Kim, 10th on tour, a shot around better than normal. I feel like that matters going into the Masters. I realize that,
that's what I'm saying. Form matters.
You know,
Dom, let me get to something before we run out of time here today.
Okay.
This is time now for our Flight Scope. Did you know your distance, know your data, know your gapping. Flight Scope's new i4 rangefinder has personalized club recommendations to make it easy. This is a caddy in your pocket. It is truly unbelievable. It is, of course, Masters Week. Everyone has Augusta in our mind. So let's stay with these numbers and this idea of the importance of knowing numbers. We thought we'd take a look at the best career scoring average for the first of the year men's major. Why not? There are some names you'd expect, probably a few that might surprise you. Scoring average, this is with a minimum of 25 rounds. Jordan Spieth, you can see the rounds on the right. Jordan Spieth at 70.95. Jon Rahm right there at 70.97. Tiger Woods third. Xander Schauffele is fourth, historic. Phil Mickelson fifth. Cam Smith, sixth, then Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler, who's not in the field, Hideki Matsuyama, Dustin Johnson. Did you know that 2 of these 10 players are not in the field? Not only Ricky, who finished tied for 30th at Valero Texas Open this past week, and he's currently outside the top 100 in the official world golf ranking, though. The other, as you expect, is Tiger Woods. Perhaps also surprising is 4 of these 10 players have never won the Masters, even though they are in the top 10 all-time in scoring average. Flight Scope's new i4 rangefinder will certainly improve your scoring average. Head over to flightscope.com.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What does it take to be an original?
Cam knows something about that. So does Chi-Chi, Charlie, and you get it. In 1955, we stepped onto the scene. Now a new generation of pros are wearing the most iconic styles in the game. The fit, the feel, the look. It's all an expression of you. Original Penguin. Here for the good times.
Innovation has been at the heart of every SuperStroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing SuperStroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
At PXG, we believe you get more out of your golf clubs when you're custom fitted. This ensures that every PXG club in your bag is completely dialed in to deliver maximum performance for your swing. Golfers of every skill level should go through this process, and PXG's judgment-free fittings will make sure you're completely comfortable and satisfied. Book your fitting and see what we can do for your game. PXG, you've never played like this before, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Hope you guys are doing well on this Monday. So, couple things, Dom, that I'm interested in. One of them is the weather. Have you guys had a chance to look at the weather yet for the week?
Yeah, the weather's really crappy today, but the rest of the week it's awesome at the Masters. The weather today is rainy. They've been having some. They thought about closing it down yesterday and not letting the patrons in. This morning they sent out a note saying they would let them in, but it's off and on. There's thunderstorms sort of all day today, so it's kind of a wash for a practice day for the players today. But Tuesday and Wednesday it's gonna be 70 degrees. It's gonna be perfect, and then tournament play. In order, Thursday through Sunday, 77 degrees, 74 degrees, 69 degrees, 72 degrees, perfect. The wind is going to be less than double digits every day. You might get a gut. There might be some issues on Friday with some gusting winds like 10, 15. And there's a chance of a little bit of rain on Friday morning. But it doesn't look like any thunderstorms or anything majorly serious. It's just some rain possibly. So, honestly, I would imagine I can't really think of better weather, to be honest, Matt. It's not going to be overly hot. It's not going to be cold. And the wind's not going to make it impossible. It's going to be pretty much perfect.
Nice. All right. And I know you guys are going to be posting a ton of stuff to our Fairways of Life YouTube channel as the week progresses, which includes, I didn't get time to today, but I want to post the Live Golf Miami results and Mark's victory down there. Weather was one of the things I was interested in for certain. The other thing, which tomorrow I'm hoping we get a chance to get into, was I'd love to know what people's setups are for the Masters. You know what I'm saying? Like, this year's a unique one for me. I don't have to be at Augusta because I've got these shows, obviously, that we're doing coming into the week. And then in the weekend, I have to get up to NBC Sports, and I'm hosting the in-studio react shows from after the Masters. So I'm going to actually have a few days where I can chill out and be a fan, which I love. And my personal setup is that, I mean, my everyday setup in our family room is not very big. It's just me and Don at home and the kitty. And we have a 65-inch TV screen, on like a veranda. And then above the fireplace, there's another flat screen up there. I think it's 42 inches, if I remember correctly, if that matters. So the one above the fireplace is the one that I use almost exclusively, to be honest with you, because that's the one I can put on whatever I want. So whatever she's watching, it can be anything. I always say Dancing with the Stars, but it's a good example. Whatever it is, I can have what I want on the other one. But Masters Week, it's all dedicated because of, like with you guys, we all have smart TVs now, right? So you can tap into the streaming coverage. And so, what group do you want to follow, et cetera. But then I always set up two more. I'll set up a computer, right? And I usually split that screen so I've got multiple stuff. And then I'll also have it streaming on my phone more times than not. So that would be for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 different streams. And that's if I don't split the big screen into like I don't know if they have like the the mix where you have at least 4 different screens. I don't know, so we'll have to figure that out. But I'm curious what you guys do. How much do you set up for the Masters, or would exceed what I'm about to say to you, than you would for like a Super Bowl or some other huge event? Right? Have you started thinking about it yet, Dom?
It's all I think about. I've been thinking about it for months. This is a picture of my basement.
You've already got pictures in the system? See, I've got to find some.
So I have I built a makeshift simulator, not special. Literally cost me like $500. I bought a crappy net, but it's functional. Look at it. And then in the background, behind the obviously there's no there's no walls really, but there's a ping pong table in the back there, which is awesome. And the vantage point of this photograph that you're looking at is a television. So if you were to turn around, like if you were standing on that mat to hit a golf ball and you look to your right, there's literally a giant big screen TV attached to the wall. So I'm just going to hit golf balls and play ping pong with buddies while I have the TV on. It's a big screen TV like everybody's. And I'm going to have a quad box up with all the digital channels. So you've got a feature group, you've got holes, I think it's usually 4, 5, and 6, holes 15 and 16, and then you've got aiming and corner. So I'm going to have all those boxes up while I'm there hitting golf balls. And what I'll probably do is, just in a very manly fashion, I'll probably make like a giant crock pot of just meat, pulled pork maybe.
Oh.
And I'll just put that, just somewhere just on the
go back
ground
to that
where
photo
we can eat
again.
it.
Here's my question, Dom. What happens if you catch the ball high in the face and it rockets into that PVC pipe?
That won't happen. Relax.
Oh, that won't happen.
No. I'm good enough that I can keep that from happening.
Yeah, but
that giant net it's more space than you think there is.
But you got other people coming. The reason I'm asking is I watched.
I do have other people.
I watched a setup very similar to what you have right here. One time was at a club, and they were like, "Oh, in the wintertime, we're going to put this simulator in." I watched a guy sky a shot that almost went straight up from where, I don't know how he did it, from where your ball is, and there was one of those light bulbs hanging down there, It hit.
Well, the net is pretty taut at the top there. I haven't nailed
What
up
I'm explaining to you was
not...
before your net even starts, the guy hit it almost straight. I'm surprised he didn't hit himself in the chin. Somehow
Well, there's
it went
nothing I can
straight
do
up.
about that. If someone does that, I'm in trouble. I don't know. Well, it's also in my basement, so, whatever. I can do whatever I want in that space. Who cares? Also, shout out to Dennis Paulson. You see that bag right in the middle that says TaylorMade? That is Dennis Paulson's staff bag from the 90s. He gave it to me years ago. It's not turned right now, but if you turn it, it's got his name on the front of it.
You got a lot of golf bags
PGA
and stuff
Tour
now
winner.
that you're mentioning that.
Well, a lot of it's kid stuff.
Oh, come on.
So
the
one of
stuff
those
on the
bags-
right is
yeah,
not
what-
kid
what-
stuff.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is the
But
guy
all
that's
the
always
bags on the
moaning to me
left-
like, "Oh, I don't have anything. I don't get anything."
The-
And all of a
all
sudden we
the
get a
clubs on the
glimpse. It
left-
looks like a golf shop.
all the clubs on the left to the doorway there are all kids.
Yeah.
clubs.
We
All of
figured that out already, but
And on the right is
Yeah,
just a staff
World
bag
Golf
with
Hall of
wedges,
Fame
and then
and-
my wife's clubs are over there. Come on.
Mm.
This is a good setup. I like my setup. I'm very excited about watching the Masters.
It is a good setup.
By the way, I forgot to mention, I'll be unavailable to work during the Masters.
Very reasonable.
I have something very important going on.
Yes, indeed. You're working on a spreadsheet or something, so you can't be reached for 4 days. All right, folks.
What? My phone went to voicemail? No way.
So anyway, I hope we get a chance to talk about that tomorrow. I'd love to find a way. Dom, how can people send in their own setup photos?
Various ways. You can send it to Matt on X at Matt Adams FOL. You can send it to us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can go to our website, contact@fairwaysoflife.com. You can send us pictures, images via email. We'll get them that way. Send us everything,
Yeah.
all of it.
Let's put it on TV.
By the way, my question was, who will win the Masters? You want to know?
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
wanna
wait a
know?
minute. Don't tell. Oh, you can't carry the question over from one day to another, could you?
Yeah, but we can ask the question again. Actually, let's see if it changes. I'll write
right.
down the percentages from today.
you do that.
Stand by. So we have 4 options. Andrew, put the odds back up. I'm pretty sure I did it based on the odds. Come on, Andrew. You can do this. There you go. I did, yeah. All right, so the three favorites right now coming in are Scotty, Rory, and Colin. So those are my three options. Scotty, Rory, and Colin, who will win the Masters. And the fourth option was an other or a write-in option, of which we got a ton of write-ins. But
save that
Scotty,
information for tomorrow, too, if you can. Can you save it
Scotty
from one day to
is
another?
18%. Now, I can't save the write-ins because there's comments coming.
Let me redefine my question so you understand what I'm asking. Can you save the comments from one day to another so we can start tomorrow and go, what are you hearing?
No, but I can write down some
write
names
that
that they've put down.
Pen and paper.
All right, hold on. 46%. So today's results are Scotty Scheffler, 18% are saying he will win. 27% of you are saying Rory McIlroy will win. 9% of you will say Colin Morikawa will win, which is wild. Andrew, put Colin's stats back up. We're pretty, I mean,
No, they were impressive.
pretty baller right now.
They're impressive, dude.
They're very impressive. And then the last category, other write-in, the age-old, would you take the field? 46% are taking the field right now.
Okay.
And a lot of the write-ins, I'll just very quickly mention.
Yeah,
some
come on.
names. Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, Joaquin Niemann, and then my personal favorite, Spieth should be 10,000 to 1, which I just love. So, yeah, we'll go through some of this stuff tomorrow. There's a lot. We could do this. Matt, we could do this for 4 hours.
All right, we just, a few minutes ago, bulletin came through from Augusta National. Vijay Singh has dropped out of the competition, just passing it along as the information comes in. Looking forward to your company tomorrow, folks. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Until we are together again. See ya.